Thematic investing is taking a firm hold in the investment world. According to Morningstar, thematic investing has tripled over the past 5 years to around $41 billion globally. So what is thematic investing?
In terms of alpha generation with traditional investing, it is about risk-adjusted returns. In thematic investing, it is about the strength and belief, the conviction of these themes and identifying companies within these themes.
I would say traditional investing generally starts with a bottom-up approach that begins with stock picking, whereas thematic is a bit more top-down. We tend to start with what we view as more intuitive investment themes, and then we leverage our resources in-house to crowdsource the individual stocks that fit into the themes. So the biggest difference, I think, is the starting point.
So megatrend themes have been around for quite some time already, even if we don't notice them. So in terms of popularity, I would say that they are definitely more popular in foreign markets such as in US or Europe, where the majority of these funds are listed. But in Singapore and Hong Kong, perhaps, I think the popularity is definitely not as big yet, but it's certainly gaining some traction.
Thematic investing works on the principle of spotting megatrends. Megatrends are far-reaching global patterns that drive social, economic and political changes. It cuts across traditional sectors and geographical boundaries. The idea is to tap into companies that are best positioned to benefit from technological, demographic, social and environmental changes sweeping the world.
A thematic investment would be something like education. Traditionally, education has been offered by private institutions or publicly funded institutions. Increasingly, we've seen a wave of IPOs in the education area that have finally enabled us to have an investable universe. And we can get some geographic diversification there because it's not just, let's say, an American or European software or traditional provider. It can also be a very large group of recent China IPOs in the education area. When you build a theme, it's very important to ensure that you're getting all elements of the value chain on one axis.
So, assets.
Investors must also distinguish between true long-term themes and short-term trends or fads.
Well, there are actually 3 levels of this. There are what we call megatrends, and these are things that have 50 and 100-year lives. Things like urbanization, things like the insatiable need that we have for energy, and the desire to sate that insatiable desire with clean forms of energy. But those are very abstract and long-term. The next stage is really the cornerstones upon which are the actual themes themselves. And these themes tend to have lifespans that are a bit shorter and they're more targeted. The next stage behind that are the topics that then fit into that theme, which is a 2 to 5 year. And this is really the group of names that become very investable.
To capture the rising popularity of thematic investing, global index and fund provider MSCI recently launched 5 new thematic indexes. It now has 9 such indexes under its belt, which track the performance of long-term megatrends.
If you look at these indexes, right, they identify themes which I feel are key themes that affect us either directly or indirectly in today's environment. One of these indexes is the Digital Economy Index, whereby we identify companies that we expect to derive significant revenue from the digital economy value chain. So these include segments like robotics, cybersecurity, cloud computing, or even digital payments.
Another example is the Millennials Index, which captures changing demographic factors. Millennials, those born between 1980 and 2000, are set to reshape the economy and change spending habits.
Millennials is a growing segment of the demographics, and they're starting to gain power in their consumption dollars. So this Millennial Index is looking to identify companies that target the millennials with their products and services. It could be retail, clothing, apparel, as well as health and fitness, travel and leisure, social media. For the Millennials Index, some of the keywords could be companies that are associated with millennials, like for example, Amazon, Facebook, or Apple.
Besides actively managed thematic funds, growth in thematic exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, are also on the rise.
Some numbers published indicate that there are over 100 ETFs in the US, covering about $25 billion in assets. And in Europe, it's about 150 with about 36 billion euros in assets. So definitely the trend, which is relatively new, but we're starting to see more and more assets coming into these themes.
We have seen a sharp increase in the number of thematic ETFs which are hitting the market. So in fact, I believe over the past year, the number of thematic ETFs has actually doubled. But unfortunately, for local investors, many of these ETFs are actually listed on foreign exchanges and are also denominated in foreign currency, which means that Singaporean investors who invest in them will inevitably be exposed to foreign currency risk.
So before jumping on the thematic investing bandwagon, investors should do their due diligence and understand all the risks involved.
Megatrend investing tends to be pretty concentrated. So because you're investing in a particular theme, so you can expect higher volatility, which means more ups and of course more downs. As a rule of thumb, we recommend that for the tactical portfolio or thematic investing, we keep it to around maybe 10 to 15% so that the entire portfolio does not become overly aggressive.